Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. This is Liz. Not broadcasting from the Dairy Public Library, obviously. I'm at my home. But regardless, it is Freebie Friday, and that means we get to look at what's available for free on the internet. And I'm going to admit, like pretty much everything on the internet, most of it's terrible. But there's still some sites where stuff is streaming for free, and you can always find some good movies on there. I actually watched The Birdcage last week after I recommended it, and what a flawless movie. Even having to put up with ads, it was fine. So, what do we have today? We're going to start out with some Shakespeare. So the Kenneth Branagh adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing is on IMDb TV. I really like Kenneth Branagh's adaptation. I do kind of find it funny to think back to the 90s when he was pretty much trying to become the king of Shakespeare and classic adaptations, but um, you know, makes a good. I think he makes a good adaptation. My personal favorite is Hamlet, and I'm kind of bummed that that's not streaming, but I know that that movie is almost 4 hours long, and I can't even imagine it with ads. But I would say, hey, if you want to get your Shakespeare on, Kenneth Branagh is a good guy to go to. Also on IMDb TV is something for the kids, completely wholesome fare called Muppets from Space. I think this might have been the last Muppet movie that was produced before the 2010 2011 one with Jason Segel, like the revamp of the Muppets. But I have a real soft spot for, I would say, the original Recipe Muppet movies. The one from the 70s is great. Muppets Take Manhattan is fun. Like, I like a lot of the Muppet movies, and this one is very charming as well. Also, it's not streaming, but if you can find Muppet Treasure Island, I'm highly recommending that one. But I would say Muppets from Space. It's a great movie for the whole family. I can't think of anyone who wouldn't find this fun and charming. And if they do, I don't know if I want to meet someone who doesn't like the Muppets. Kind of going off of that, it's not the Muppets, but it's a similar vein. There is a documentary called I Am Big Bird, and it's about the person who plays Big Bird. Um, and that is available on Crackle. Also available on Crackle, kind of speaking of Blast from the Past 90s, specifically the year 1999, is Girl Interrupted. So this is famous for, I don't want to say Winona Ryder's first really adult role because she had been in stuff like The Age of Innocence before this, but this is what was her first, I would say, starring role in a fairly adult feature. And more famous for introducing the world, or I should say, the movie-going audiences to Angelina Jolie. She had made a splash with the biopic about Gia Karenji, but that was an HBO film, and this definitely had a wider reach. So Angelina Jolie ended up winning Best Supporting Actress for this movie. I think this movie it's a little bit dated for how it discusses certain psychological issues because it is based on something that happened in the 70s and was still made in 99. And even then, a lot has changed since then as to how we talk about and categorize certain problems. But I think overall, it's a good movie, it's a good drama, and it's worth it for nothing else than Angelina Jolie's performance. She really, I mean, she deserved that Oscar. I will say that right here. Up next, this really is a fairly 90s heavy recommendation day. This is a 1996 alien invasion film, but not the one you're thinking of, and no, not the other one either. I am talking about The Arrival, starring Charlie Good Gracious, What Happened to You Sheen. So obviously, this was before he went off the deep end. So 96 was the year for alien invasion films. We had Independence Day in the summer, which pretty much just, I think it was the highest grossing film of that year. And for a while, the second highest grossing blockbuster of all time behind Jurassic Park. And then we had in the winter, we had Mars Attacks, which was not well received at the time and wasn't a big box office hit, but that has had a lot of reevaluation for people like me, pushing that this movie's been great for years. The Arrival really kind of gets lost in that. So it doesn't have the big spaceships, big explosions, the aliens, taking out the Empire State Building. This is more of a subtle alien invasion, if anything, kind of a pre-invasion. But I still think it works. I mean, I am a sci-fi fan, and if you put aliens in a movie, I am already kind of interested. Great Ron Silver role too, and I actually kind of like the designs of these aliens. The CGI for it looks a little hokey, but I overall think it's a good, again, a good blast from the past, and I think it is an underrated alien film. Also on Tubi is a great action film and one of the best zombie films of the past 10 years. And I've recommended this before because it's on Netflix. But I have to recommend Train to Busan. So, if you've heard me talk about Bong Joon-ho and South Korean cinema, I've said South Korea is making some of the best movies in the world right now. And that is true, even in the case, I think, of action films. So, this takes a more emotional approach to a zombie film. It is action packed, don't get me wrong, but the character at the center of it is a father who doesn't spend enough time with his daughter, and so he's trying to keep her safe from these zombies. And then there's another character who is trying to protect his expectant wife from the zombies. So you might even shed a few tears watching this movie. But I think, and again, I am a proponent of the horror genre, but I'm also a proponent of the horror genre as being art and as being a way to tell an emotionally affecting story. Look at films like The Babadook. It doesn't always just have to be blood and guts and gore. Not that there's not a place for those things, but Train to Busan is a good, smart, well-made horror film, and if you're enjoying the renaissance that American horror is having with movies like The Witch, Get Out, and Us, I would say Train to Busan is right up your alley. So we're going on to Pluto TV, which is another free streaming service. I was very surprised to see this film here, but since it is, I have to recommend it. So I am not a fan of South Park. I definitely liked it when I was like 11 because that was the show you couldn't watch, and of course we're all going to watch it. But I think in the past 15 years since it's been on, it's really kind of done nothing but make apathy cool, and I think it's become kind of a played out show. However, I think the movie 1999's Bigger, Longer, and Uncut is one of the funniest movies in the past 30 years and one of the smartest. And this is back when I don't know if South Park ever really tried to make too much of a point, but this movie was certainly making a fun point. Basically, it starts with the idea of the parents not liking a rude cartoon that their children watch. Gee, I wonder what motivated Matt Stone and Trey Parker. But they also, and then it becomes a full-scale war against Canada, and boy, there's musical numbers, and also there's Saddam Hussein, because it was 1999. The musical numbers are genuinely catchy. Blame Canada was nominated for an Academy Award that year and was performed on the Oscar stage by Robin Williams. And I do think that it pokes fun not just at the rating system, but at what people in America find offensive, where there's actually a line, and I'm paraphrasing it here, but the mother's like, I don't care if there's a bunch of blood and violence as long as no one's saying any dirty words. And if you look at some of the MPAA, they tend to kind of take that track of swearing is more offensive than violence. I think I've made the point before that like these Marvel movies, these Transformers films, are violent. You just don't see any blood. But if you drop two F-bombs in a movie, you get an automatic R. So I think there's a lot of interesting meat on the bones of South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And it's one of those, even though I've definitely fallen out of liking the show, I still think the movie is a barrel of laughs. And finally, the last movie I'm going to recommend comes with sort of a tragic little caveat. So the movie is A Street Cat Named Bob, and that is because, unfortunately, Bob himself did pass away earlier this week at the age of 14. But this cat was in the true story between him and his owner was the inspiration for not only some books, but a movie. And it's basically about how this guy who was very troubled and needing to make some different choices, found this cat, and this cat ended up saving him. And I think if you're an animal lover and just, you know the power that an animal can have on you, even if you're just having a bad day. So if you would like to watch something heartwarming, and just kind of see that, even though Bob is gone, his story remains to inspire other people. I would definitely recommend watching that. It's on Tubi and YouTube, but just have some tissues ready. I mean, I'm an animal lover myself. I have two cats, and although they bother me, they're certainly wonderful creatures. And I even cried reading the Bob news the other day. I was like, no, 14, my cat's 12. So I hope you watch one of these movies. I should just say, you probably know already, but South Park definitely has a lot of bad language and crude humor, so it earns that R rating. But I just feel like I should warn you if you choose to watch it. And I will see you on Monday with Director Day. And I hope you have a nice weekend and stay cool. I certainly will be around fans and air conditioning. Have a good day.